How seriously do you think we should take the claims that he wants to take over Greenland or the Panama Canal?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something fun, something entertaining to watch during this sort of Christmas holiday. But I think I wouldn't focus so much on what Trump is saying about him wanting to take them over as much as why those are consequential issues for the United States. I think Canada being the 51st state, that's a common joke in the U.S. But I think Greenland and Panama in particular, I would highlight because if you look at the sort of the way that Greenland is developing and the way that the climate change has effectively made a lot more of Greenland available for mining and natural resources. Trump is not even the first U.S. president to talk about buying Greenland. Harry Truman wanted to buy it after World War II as part of a strategy to keep out the Soviet forces from the region. But I think now we're seeing it more as a consequential U.S. ally and partner for its natural resources, particularly its critical minerals. Now, on Panama, some people are highlighting the fact that the Trump companies, organizations, hotels were sort of evicted from Panama a few years ago. I think it also the Panama Canal is consequential as well in terms of the fact that there's Chinese investment, Chinese interest in the region, in the canal in particular, and the U.S. is hoping to not lose out. So in both areas, I wouldn't highlight so much what Trump is saying as much as why they are valuable to the U.S.
Another one of those big stories we've seen developing in the past few weeks, that today, finally, that bombshell House ethics report into Trump's failed Attorney General pick, Matt Gaetz, unsealed. The details all pretty unsavoury, I'd have to say, released to the public. Do you think this ultimately vindicates the decision that Gaetz dropped out? This would have been much more damaging for Trump if he was still on the hook to actually be the Attorney General of America.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Trudy, because I think a lot of people assume that, Teflon Donald Trump won't ever back down. But this wouldn't be the first time he's backing down, and the first time that Republicans in Congress have basically pushed back. In order for that report to be released, it required Republicans on that committee to sign off on it. And so they did. They were centrist Republicans who said they wanted it to be released. They'd spent many years working on that report, and they've been sitting on that report for some time. But this isn't even the first time that Republicans in Congress have done that. Let's not forget that the Senate Majority Leader, the secret ballot to elect that amongst Republicans, did not go to the MAGA and Trump aligned candidate, Rick Scott from Florida. Instead, it went to John Thune, who is not a very Trumpian candidate. But then you have the Republicans who voted against the short-term spending deal that Trump explicitly asked for. 38 House Republicans defied Trump in that era on that issue. But then you also had Republicans not voting to suspend the debt ceiling recently. So I think, yes, there is a lot more Republican support for Trump than there was in 2017 when he first took office. But there definitely is some distance still between all Republicans being fully aligned with Donald Trump.
Yeah, we haven't even seen him inaugurated yet. We're already seeing that small little bit of pushback within Congress. I just wanted to end on, for the Australian side, we saw those two big picks in terms of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. He's a pretty known quantity in terms of Australian government ministers having connections with Rubio. What about Pete Hegseth, though, the Defence Secretary? He's managed to weather the storm so far in terms of his own personal indiscretions. Have we able to figure out a little more about what a Pete Hegseth as Defence Secretary would mean for Australia?
I think it's too early to tell, but more than anything else, I would say that the institutional arrangements between the U.S. and Australia are far beyond any one Secretary of Defense. If you go to Indo-Pacific Command or in Hawaii, the U.S. military main operation theater for Asia, if you go even to the Pentagon, you're going to hear Australian accents, even though they are both U.S. military installations, because the U.S. and Australia have so many secondments and exchanges and just multiple touch points across almost every level of government and almost every department of government. And so I think, yes, Pete Hegseth right now, more than anything else, is just trying to line up the senators he needs to get through. But I wouldn't. It's too early to tell where he's going to be strategically. More than anything else, I would just highlight that the sort of institutional bonds between the U.S. and Australia go far beyond what one former Fox News personality is.
Yeah. And I know there's been a reluctance, obviously, because of protocol for the Australian side to reach out to him directly. They're going to have to wait until he's potentially confirmed by the Senate. Jared Mondschein, thank you so much for your time today. I always appreciate your analysis on the US.
My pleasure. Thank you.